Hi everyone, this is Neil Writer, consultant audiologist and director of ClearWax. Thank you for joining me in another demonstration video of our recently developed WAXscope, which is due to be launched very shortly indeed. If you are interested in the WAXscope, please feel free to email info@clearwax.co.uk. The email address will be in the description. So we've just got a patient here who attended with a really tender and blocked left ear. So this left ear is extremely blocked with this earwax, as you can see, and they've been constantly rubbing the ear over the last couple of weeks because of their symptoms, which included reduced hearing and oral fullness. It's like a pressure feeling in the ear, and that's made the ear extremely tender. I'm starting off using our 4.25mm speculi, and as you can see, we're just using it to dilate the entrance of the ear, to straighten it as well. And I've just put some medical grade olive oil spray in there just to help loosen this wax. It's really impacted, it's quite dense, it's matted, you'll see quite a few hair strands within there. And this patient's ear canal is pretty narrow. A bit later on during the procedure, I'm going to revert to the smaller speculi that we have, is 3.5mm, and that just allowed me to penetrate a bit deeper into the ear when we're removing the more medial earwax. And what we're trying to do is loosen this plug off the canal walls. So again, I'm just going to go in, stretch the ear open. I think the way I've angled it, I'm just going to focus on the posterior canal wall here and lift it off the floor and also the back canal wall. So this is the posterior canal wall, the back section. And this wax is adhered to the canal wall, so I'm just lifting it up and away. And now I'm going to go higher up, so more to the roof of the ear canal superiorly. And it's about doing it in phases. Earwax can be extremely challenging to remove. It's more so than I first imagined it would when I first started performing earwax removal back in 2015. It's a good 8 years ago. I thought it would be not straightforward. I never imagined it would be an easy thing to do, but I didn't probably respect the procedure as I now do 8 years on, because it can be extremely challenging, and particularly so when you've got a patient like this patient who's got some symptoms already. They've got, most notably, altalgia, a bit of tenderness. So you've got a patient that's attending with pain already in the ear, and then you're entering that ear trying to remove wax. So inevitably, until the wax plug is out, you may just be hopefully not adding to the pain too much. But of course, if their ear is already painful and you're going in with some instruments, it's inevitably going to increase it slightly. But the patient was really good. We just took our time. We were very gentle. And I was just focusing and doing in layers. So the olive oil spray really, really helped. So you can see with the WAXscope, you've got an opening at the roof of the speculi, and that's a slot basically to help you insert the instrument into the ear. Otherwise, the instrument would be inserted more centrally, and if the instrument is inserted centrally, it's going to obstruct the view. So the lens of the camera is going to be obstructed. So the optical axis, as we call it, is going to be obstructed by the instrument, and that's going to hinder your visibility, and it's also going to distort the view of the suction probe itself. So that slot is very important because it allows the instrument to be inserted at a different angle of incidence, which avoids the optical axis and therefore provides you with a much clearer and better view. So you can see we're getting deeper into the ear now. So reverting to the smaller speculi really helps me to get deeper into the ear because they have got quite a narrow ear canal. So I've just put a bit more olive oil spray in. So not only is it softening the wax, but it's helping it to bind it together. It's lubricating the canal walls. I much prefer using softening agents during the procedure as opposed to patients using it prior to attending, and it's because if they don't instill the correct amounts, if you put too much, for example, it can make the wax too loose, too wet, almost like a swamp in there, and it's more harder to remove. There's only a few patients, because I see them on a regular basis, that I feel that they do need to use drops prior to attending, and they're generally patients who suffer from keratosis obturans, so a plug of dead skin, which is extremely hard to remove. But otherwise, and children, so when I see children, I do recommend just use it for a couple of days prior. Children are obviously a bit more difficult to treat. They're not able to stay as still. And that's not true for all children. Some children are really, really still, but as a general rule of thumb, I mean, you get some adults who may not be able to sit still as well, but generally speaking, children are less cooperative in that respect. So putting a bit of drops just helps the procedure. A lot of patients I know don't like using drops because in the short term it exacerbates their symptoms, and that's because the drops absorbs the wax plug absorbs the drops, or in the case of olive oil, it adds another lacquer to the wax plug. So the wax plug essentially gets bigger and expands, and it creates more of a seal in the ear. And particularly for hearing aid wearers, because it just blocks the hearing aid, all these drops. So we've got a big plug out there. We've got a still image at the end. So just going to go in and probably see how narrow the ear canal is here. I'm just going to get the eardrum in focus. There we are. So the eardrum looks really healthy. You can see all the blood vessels, capillaries. It's just a bit of wax deep in the end, the posterior canal. I'm just going to see if we can get that away. I managed to get a little bit, but it was almost stained. It's quite sticky wax, and it's non-occluding, so it's non-significant in that respect. But just went in. Initially, if it came away easily, then brilliant. If not, I'm just trying to stretch the ear open a bit more. I'm just rotating the specular as well to get a better view. You can see it's more central now. But I was hoping this would come away with little resistance, but so I managed to get a subsection out of this away. And I'm just going to get it back in. I think I've just loosened that enough. I'm just going to stretch the ear open. There we are. Got the view that we want. And then I'm going to lift it up and away. We're just going to avoid the canal wall. There we are. So I'm really pleased with that. Going to re-enter the ear. Stretch it open, get the eardrum back in focus, just have a good nosy around. So you've got a little hair strand there on the eardrum, but that's not going to cause the patient any problems. Got a fantastic view of the eardrum. And this is the main plug of wax that we removed. So it's fairly dark, which means it's been there for a while. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you are interested in the WAXscope, please do email info@clearwax.co.uk and we can add you to our mailing list. Thank you. Bye.